Some might call it arrogance, others sheer audacity. But for Red Bull, it was simply survival. When Honda once again announced its departure from Formula One, the energy drink powerhouse found itself staring at a crisis that could have shattered its championship ambitions. History wasn't on their side. Their fallout with Renault had been nothing short of explosive, leaving bridges burned and options limited. Mercedes and Ferrari, unthinkable. Neither was about to hand a power unit to one of their fiercest rivals. And so, backed into a corner, Red Bull had no choice but to get creative. Their lifeline? A last-minute, high-stakes pact with Honda, a company that, ironically, had only just dusted itself off from a bruising, reputation-damaging partnership with McLaren. The situation was messy, uncertain, and riddled with risk. But in F1, when the walls start closing in, you either adapt or get left behind. Red Bull's highly ambitious power unit project for 2026 is reportedly facing setbacks, with sources hinting at performance and reliability concerns. Would Red Bull's gamble with Ford pay off, or was this the beginning of another power struggle destined to implode? The writing was on the wall for Red Bull Honda as early as October 2020, when Honda publicly announced its intention to exit Formula One by the end of the 2021 season. At the time, corporate logic dictated that the Japanese manufacturer would shift its full focus toward electrification, citing both technological priorities and the financial strain brought on by the global COVID-19 crisis. Honda's official statement made it clear their focus had shifted. Honda needs to funnel its corporate resources into research and development of future power unit and energy technologies, they declared, signaling that an expensive Formula One program no longer aligned with their long-term vision. In other words, F1 had become a luxury they were no longer willing to afford. For Red Bull, this was a crisis. Mercedes and Ferrari swiftly shut the door on supplying engines to one of their biggest threats, while the wounds from their fiery fallout with Renault were still too fresh to even consider rekindling that relationship. By the time the 2022 season rolled around, one of the sport's most dominant teams found itself staring at the prospect of being engineless. Honda's exit sent shockwaves through the paddock, but with time to reflect, Red Bull boss Christian Horner saw the bigger picture. "I'm a great believer in fate," he admitted. "Honda's decision came during COVID, and it left us with no choice. Mercedes wouldn't supply us, and with Ferrari, well, let's just say we weren't sure how many cylinders Renault would give us. Been there, done that. Going back just didn't feel right. In the end, it almost forced our hand. We had to make a decision." For a while, there were murmurs about Red Bull simply acquiring Honda's intellectual property and continuing to run their engines under a different name. But as Christian Horner soon realized, it wasn't as simple as just slapping a Red Bull logo on the engine cover. Once we started looking into it, the complexity became clear, Horner admitted. It's not just about building an engine, it's everything that comes with it. The supply chain, the infrastructure, the sheer scale of operations. It was far more complicated than we initially thought. With no easy solution in sight, Red Bull and Honda eventually settled on a compromise. Honda Racing Corporation boss Koji Watanabe shed light on the arrangement. "We had announced our exit from Formula One, but after discussions with Red Bull, they wanted us to continue. That's why we became a kind of technical support since then. In reality, we still run everything on the power unit side." In other words, while Honda had publicly stepped away behind the scenes, they were still deeply involved. But then, Formula One's ever-evolving rulebook threw another curveball. The FIA's 2026 regulations introduced a greater reliance on electrical power and mandated 100% sustainable fuels, an irresistible combination for Honda. Having previously walked away from F1, only to reverse course multiple times, the Japanese manufacturer did what they do best: another U-turn. The new 2026 rules, with a 50-50 split between combustion and electric power, are very attractive to Honda, Watanabe explained. "The move toward carbon-neutral fuels also aligns perfectly with our goals, which is why we officially decided to return to Formula One." By the time Honda reconsidered, however, Red Bull had already set its sights on full independence. With a massive investment funneled into Red Bull powertrains, the Milton Keynes-based outfit wasn't about to scrap its grand plans. Still, both sides explored the possibility of a technical collaboration for 2026 and beyond. During our talks, we discussed the idea of Red Bull developing the internal combustion engine while Honda handled the electrical components, Watanabe revealed. But the deeper we looked into it, the more impractical it became. If one side built the ICE and the other managed the electrical systems, making it all work together seamlessly would have been an enormous challenge. In the end, we realized a partnership under those conditions simply wasn't possible. Honda wasted no time finding a new home, striking an exclusive Works team deal with Aston Martin, as Lawrence Stroll continued pouring millions into his team dream's F1 resurgence. With a dedicated power unit tailored for 2026, Honda secured the kind of partnership every engine manufacturer dreams of. Meanwhile, Red Bull had already moved forward. At the launch of their RB18 in 2022, they stunned the paddock by announcing a partnership with Ford for their 2026 power unit. At first, many dismissed it as a nostalgic branding exercise, a simple move to slap the iconic blue oval on an F1 engine. But as time passed, it became clear that Ford's involvement ran far deeper than just a name on the cover. Ford remained the third most successful manufacturer of F1 engines in the history of the sport, with 176 Grand Prix victories to their name behind Mercedes with 222 and Ferrari with 249. Over the 2 years since the 2018 partnership was announced, it has become evident the Ford are not just a sleeping partner with a large checkbook, but the US car giant have contributed significantly in the electrified elements of the new V6 hybrids. Further, we reported last week that Ford are contributing in a number of other ways to the Red Bull power unit development, as Christian Horner revealed when speaking at a Ford performance event in the USA. We're under no illusions that we've got great mountains to climb. We've got 48 weeks of flat-out development and durability testing to get the engine into as competitive a position as we can to start racing in 2026. Red Bull isn't just getting Ford's name on the engine cover, they're tapping into some of the automaker's most advanced technology. One of the biggest advantages, Ford's cutting-edge 3D printing capabilities, which allow for greater precision and faster production of critical engine components. But this isn't about simple nuts and bolts, far from it. These are highly complex metal and polymer parts engineered to endure extreme conditions, explained Ford Performance Motorsports powertrain manager Christian Hertrich. They have to withstand the demands of racing at speeds averaging 200 miles an hour. It's an entirely different level of engineering. Ford's involvement runs far deeper than just their motorsport division. The company has mobilized an army of experts from various departments, all contributing their knowledge to Red Bull's powertrain project. We've got teams from across Ford bringing their expertise into this program. Christian Horner insists Red Bull and Ford are on track with their 2026 power unit, but the real test comes when rivals hit the track. Rumors suggest Red Bull's engine isn't meeting expectations, and Jos Verstappen has hinted that if it falls short, Max could explore other options beyond 2026. Now, the Italian publication Autosprint is adding fuel to the fire, reporting that Red Bull's engine isn't delivering the kind of performance originally promised. But what's even more troubling, reliability, or rather, a lack of it. It's a haunting déjà vu for Red Bull, bringing back memories of their nightmare start to the hybrid era with Renault in 2014, where constant failures derailed their championship hopes. Yet, if there's any team that thrives on defying expectations, it's Red Bull. Against all odds, they've rewritten the F1 rulebook before, and if they can solve this powertrain puzzle, they won't just be making history, they'll be securing the future of their most prized asset, Max Verstappen. We would like to know your thoughts. Can Red Bull and Ford truly challenge Mercedes and Ferrari in the 2026 power unit race? Or will their lack of experience in engine manufacturing cost them? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, goodbye for now.